We're going to bring on an Apple analyst, a Bloomberg best on Apple, by the way. Brian Marshall joins us right now from Gleacher Co from the West Coast. Brian, thanks for joining us. Let me ask you, first of all, about when we're going to see the next new product. I'm assuming the iPhone 5 is it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually call it the 4S, but at the end of the day, I think that the phone will actually not be LTE enabled. I call the iPhone 5 the LTE phone. I think that comes next year, but I do think we'll see a new iPhone updated sometime in late September, early October, and I think that'll be the next major new product announcement in our view.
What about the other products coming out? I mean, iPad 3 seems like it must be a long way off. We just got the 2. We just got a new MacBook Air. What about a MacBook itself, the main product, really, I'm guessing, for them?
Yeah, well, historically, the company has updated its iPod line in the month of September with an event. We haven't heard anything about that yet, so that's obviously a potential. That's pretty immaterial to the company's financial model now. Obviously, call it 80% of the company's profits come from iPhone and iPad. We do anticipate that iPad 3 will come early next year. Call it in the month of February, and that will be the first LTE-enabled device from Apple in our view.
Hey, Brian, I think, certainly one big story that we've been all focusing on this week is Google's purchase of Motorola Mobility and now their access to all of Motorola Mobility's patents. There's a story out that we've got, according to MDB Capital, that group of patents is going to rival what Apple has at this point. How much does Apple have to be worried about that Google move?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, if you look at it, we had a conference call with Apple's CFO yesterday, and we asked the same question. And at the end of the day, this doesn't change their view whatsoever, the competitive landscape. Apple is definitely pro-competition. They want the consumer to decide what's the superior product and go with it. Having said that, they don't want companies to steal their IP. If companies are going to compete in the marketplace, they better be competing upon the merits of their own IP or their own technology. And if they take anything from Apple, Apple's going to defend themselves vigorously in the courts.
Well, so it doesn't change their view here, but does it change your view in terms of how competitive the marketplace is now?
Well, ironically, I think this move by Google, could potentially be a positive for HP. In the sense that, if some Android guys are actually a little bit concerned about the viability of them sourcing Android from Google, if Motorola could potentially be a preferred vendor going forward, that may lead companies like Samsung and HTC down the road to actually license WebOS from Hewlett-Packard if Hewlett-Packard decides to go down that path. So I think that could be pretty interesting, and obviously it could help Windows from a Windows Phone perspective at Microsoft.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned LTE a couple of times. I remember when 3G first came out and UMTS licenses were auctioned off. It took years for that technology to really be put into place and to really work properly on devices. Is LTE going to be the same way, or will the adoption come quicker?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. That remains to be seen. Hopefully we have adoption curves that are accelerating at a much steeper rate going forward relative to the past. Having said that, there's only a few million LTE subs out there today in the United States. So, definitely we want to see that expanding pretty dramatically in the back half of the year. I think Verizon and to a lesser extent AT&T are definitely investing in the infrastructure on the wireless access side right now to support that. And, hopefully that ramps up pretty aggressively in calendar 12.
All right. Hey, Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Brian Marshall there from Gleacher Co talking about Apple, which he says, by the way, is still the best tech company on the planet.